Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I talk about issues and concerns that are taking place all across our country and world. And this one I want to address with what I'm seeing a proverbial trend right now, definitely while we're going through this political season and this election that's taking place here in the fall of 2024. And it sounds like it's going to be between Trump and Biden again. But you've seen in the last several years where there have been several black females who have garnered a lot of fame and attention and power in the political arena, whether they're lawyers and politicians or just politicians. But some of them have gotten caught up in the chasm of chaos and potential failures in their positions. Is this due to the sister girl attitude, that they can become these political juggernauts and then do whatever they want in these offices? Are they not understanding how government is run and how all the eyeballs are going to be on them, especially if they are making historical gains by being the first black females to garner some of these positions, such as Vice President Kamala Harris, first black female vice president, woman of color, for example. But we have several other black females who are garnering quite a bit of political accomplishments, and there is a spotlight on them on how they are running and maintaining their office. And of course, the most highlighted one is Fani Willis, which is what's taking place down in Fulton County in Atlanta, Georgia, who is the Fulton County District Attorney that was going after Trump in the voter fraud case. And then it comes out that she's got several conflicts of interest in hiring her boyfriend, Nathan Wade, and it is turned into a case that was about Donald Trump into a case that's about her and Nathan Wade. And this has turned into a complete debacle down there in Fulton County, and the representation and the professionalism that should take place in our judicial system. And so I'm not going to go through the whole chasm of it because there are several video channels that have done that, but I will just hit a few highlighted bullet points. And one is when she first garnered that position, she actually did a video talking about inter-office relationships and how she was not for them. They could be a distraction, and that was not something that she would advocate. And then, lo and behold, as soon as she became the Fulton County DA, she went into a relationship with a married man, whether it was at the end of his marriage, near the end, or what have you. And then she hires him and brings him into the DA's office, and he has never done any criminal work, let alone RICO cases, as an attorney ever in his life. Then she decides to go ahead and start paying him an exorbitant amount of money within a 1 or 2 year period. And he has made more money than the U.S. attorney in Washington, D.C., who is the representation of all attorneys across the country. And he has made more money than the United States president, who governs the entire country. I think the president makes about $430,000 a year, and Nathan Wade has made almost $700,000 in 1 year with no prior criminal experience as a prosecutor. That was going to display a huge red flag. Then they come to find out that they've been taking trips together, and there's obvious plane tickets where they're on the same plane. things of that nature. And I'm going to talk more about that in a second. But what I do want to mention is I think that evidently Fani Willis, who got this position as the DA, must not have had much experience as a lawyer. Uh, and I don't know what kind of law she practiced, but once she got caught up in this conflict of interest, I don't understand how attorney Fani Willis and Nathan Wade did not realize that Trump's lawyers were going to subpoena and go after every nook and cranny of the case, whether it is, did they buy plane tickets together? How were the plane tickets bought? Uh, and then they're using taxpayers' dollars, which takes it from a state issue, if there are criminal charges going to be filed against Fani Willis and Nathan Wade, to federal. I mean, they were going to Napa Valley, to Florida on cruises, to the Caribbean, all on taxpayer dollars. So that changes it from a state issue to a federal issue. And the RICO charges, the RICO case that they're trying to file against Trump, they've created that same desire for themselves. And Fani Willis and Nathan Wade are in a huge amount of trouble, for those of you who have been following it. And definitely for black people that want to support black leaders and politicians. But true is true, false is false. A lie is a lie. And I don't care what color you are, and we need to, as people of color, to have the right, honest people representing us each and every day, because a light bulb is on them. And if they sneeze the wrong way, the national media and even the criminal courts will go after them. And that's what you're seeing taking place. Nathan Wade and Nathan Wade, Terrence Bradley, and Fani Willis are making a mockery of the court, and they're making black lawyers look bad as a whole. This was a case where this could have put Fani Willis on the national map and spearheaded her political career if she was going to be able to win this case against ex-President Donald Trump. And they have completely dropped the ball. And now it looks like versus them representing the court against ex-President Donald Trump, now they're going to have to worry about the court going after them. And how hypocritical is that when they all have law degrees and law licenses in the state of Georgia? It makes no sense. And for Fani, when they had subpoenaed her to answer those questions, they were leading questions that Ashley Merchant was putting forward. I don't understand why she didn't plead the fifth. Fani Willis had a certain arrogance, a bravado about her, a certain sister girl attitude and stereotype that was not befitting for representing herself and for black females across the land. I think she made herself look extremely bad and unprofessional. I think she talked too much. They have an old mantra is that if you don't say anything, you don't go to jail for saying nothing. You go to jail for saying too much. And she should have known that as a practicing lawyer. But it shows that her experience as an attorney, it seems very minimal. And I don't think she was probably qualified to be the DA of Fulton County, to be honest with you. I'm not going to support you just because you look like me. What does your record and your scholarly intellect say and speak for itself? And they are making this entire scenario, Nathan Wade, Terrence Bradley, and Fani Willis, they're making a mockery of the court. Her admitting that she paid back Nathan Wade in cash. She had a tax lien of $5,000 that she hadn't paid. She moves into a friend of hers condo that worked for her. So the lady that worked for her, who's an inferior, who makes less money than her, she goes and moves in her place. So evidently Fani had financial issues and things of that nature, but you have enough money to pay Nathan Wade back in cash. which highlights the IRS. They are listening to this entire court proceeding. So they're going around the country spending taxpayer dollars at restaurants and doing X, Y, and Z. And then Fani, who has tax liens and some financial issues, is paying Nathan Wade back in cash. Then you have to figure out how is Nathan Wade uh, accounting for getting paid in cash. So now both of them have a huge IRS issue. And how did Fani Willis and Nathan Wade not think that they were going to subpoena phone records in today's time in 2024? Information can be gathered at a push of a button. And then you're going against the ex-president. That's the federal government. Surveillance cameras are all over the place. They could subpoena and even look at when his car was in the particular area of where Fani lives. They have talked their way, and especially Fani, into a complete chasm of chaos. And I think Nathan Wade didn't say a whole lot, but he's in big trouble. So you take all of that with those two, how much she was paying him, and then he's the vendor, and then he's paying her back in cash. Or he's getting the tickets, she's paying him back in cash. There's a vendor conflict, and they are in hot water. And for all the sunshine and light that was supposed to be on Donald Trump, now it is all on them. And this is going to be a historical case study in the near future, and how this turns out. I don't think it's going to be good for Fani Willis, Nathan Wade. I think that they will have the potential for being disbarred. I think they are going to get indicted for tax evasion and have a tax issue. And I think the pressure from the government going after them once they get dissolved from being the Fulton County DAs against Trump, their relationship will be over. They're going to testify against each other to prevent themselves from going to jail, let alone getting disbarred. And then you take Terrence Bradley, who was Nathan Wade's partner, and then he was his divorce attorney. He was the worst of them all. I don't see how he's going to be able to maintain a license at all. He told Ashley Merchant, who is on the other side, everything about Nathan Wade and Fani Willis's relationship, even in text message, which makes me think he has to be the dumbest lawyer in America. It wasn't a vocal scenario talking on the phone where it could be hearsay. He actually wrote this stuff down in a text message that is hard copy proof of the things that he was saying. Then he gets on the stand and says he can't remember anything, let alone he's been accused of essaying two separate women in the past. That is a character assassinating issue. And they have turned into the three stooges of the court system: Fani Willis, Nathan Wade, Terrence Bradley. I think Ashley Merchant is not a bad attorney. I also think that Terrence Bradley was doing all this because I think he was hitting on Ashley Merchant. I think that he thought that he could get close to her and divulge this information and maybe turn that relationship into something else. That's just my opinion, because I don't know why he was divulging and running and having diarrhea of the mouth the way he did with Ashley Merchant when he knew that she was on the other side. Ashley's is a decent attorney, in my opinion. I think she talks too fast, and she's a little all over the place. I think she could have prepared her notes and the timelines for the text messages a lot better to really put the nail in the coffin for Terrence Bradley. But this whole situation looks bad. Fani Willis, they have dug such a deep hole that I'm not sure they're going to be able to get out of it. And I think Terrence Bradley's career is over in the state of Georgia. I think Fani Willis and Nathan Wade have just character assassinated themselves to death. And the level of hypocrisy is at a premium between those two. And it's all being exposed right in front of the world. Her father is an attorney who was well known, who represented Nelson Mandela, who was also a Harvard professor, went to UCLA with Judge Joe Brown. I think that she really piggybacked off her dad to even get the voted in as the DA of Fulton County, which is a political position. She had to be voted in. And I think they have completely dropped the ball. There are going to be perjury issues. There are going to be IRS issues. There are going to be issues with their license. And she is going, and don't forget, now when she becomes a defendant, her, Terrence Bradley, and Nathan Wade, it is going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to be represented by a superior attorney for all of the things that they just dug themselves a hole in. So this is not going anywhere, and it does not make the Democrats and black folks look good. We just have to be honest. I didn't want to do a video, but I have no other choice, and it does not help Biden's administration. The Republicans are going to go after this, and this is turned into a circus down in Fulton County. But you have some other people. We had an attorney, the St. Louis Circuit Attorney here, Kim Gardner, who was the city attorney for over 6-7 years, who just completely destroyed the city circuit attorney's office with not doing her work. There was over 1,000 cases backlogged. There were murder cases that were getting dismissed because they were not getting to court on time. Kim Gardner would not leave the office. The governor, the FBI had to get involved in it, and she wouldn't leave. So you have Fani Willis with her arrogance and this sister girl attitude, talking at instead of to the judicial court, knowing that she's in trouble. You had Kim Gardner, black female attorney, doing the same thing. They had to basically shove her out. She was on the verge of losing her license. She was even going to nursing school, doing the hours that she was supposed to be the circuit attorney. And as I said, there was a backlog of over 1,000 cases. City residents here in St. Louis were upset. They had family members that had been murdered, and these cases were not even going to trial. They finally got rid of her, and as I said, the governor was on her, the FBI came in, and it was a complete mess. And now Kim Gardner is gone, and Mr. Gabe Gore is now the St. Louis Circuit Attorney and is trying to clean it up. Then we have Congresswoman Cori Bush of St. Louis. She ended up hiring her husband. This is her first term as the Democratic Congresswoman in St. Louis. And then she decides to get married to a guy a year ago and make him the head of her security. But guess what? He had no securities license. And he's made over $65,000 in the last 6 months as the head of her security. Why would you want your husband to be the head of your security and be in harm's way, where if somebody was trying to do something to her, they could end up killing her husband? To me, that sounds like a bit of a conflict also. And you're legislating for the citizens of St. Louis as a congresswoman and looking at laws, even though you're not a lawyer, and you're not making sure that your husband has all his I's dotted and T's crossed to even be the licensed security person. That's another black female that has dropped the ball. You have Marilyn Mosby, who was the Baltimore City DA, who got convicted on 2 counts of perjury. She made a name for herself during the Freddie Gray murder trial where police officers had murdered a black man in Baltimore. She ends up getting convicted here recently, where she received coronavirus-related distribution requests for one time $40,000 and one time $50,000 on May 26, 2020 and December 29, 2020, while making $247,955.58. And she went to get these distributions based on the coronavirus related distributions and said that she could not work. And mind you, her check is coming out of the same city hall that the coronavirus related distribution funds are coming out. So people could visibly, physically see that she is not missing work. Then she goes out and tries to get $90,000 while she's making almost $250,000 and she's going to jail. And then there's some other real estate related issues that could give her up to 30 years in the penitentiary. That's a recent case. So we got Fani Willis, Kim Gardner, Congresswoman Cori Bush, Attorney Marilyn Mosby out of Baltimore. And then you have this crazy scenario that's taking place with Tiffany Henyard, black female that's the mayor of Dalton, Illinois, in Chicago. The state's attorney is probing, and the FBI is doing a probe on her. She has a fake Tiffany Henyard cancer not-for-profit. She has hired all of her friends. She is the Nino Brown of Dalton and cussing city council members out and doing all kinds of egregious things. She even has her security detail, police officers that are getting paid for working 20 hours a day, including overtime when there's only 24 hours in a day. One guy is working for her where he was working 23 hours a day out of 24. And now there's an FBI and state's attorney probe against her. So you're seeing a representation of some of these black female leaders, and I'm just wondering if there's an ego and arrogance and bravado about them as black women to where they think that these public offices become their private sector to do whatever they want. But that's not how life works. You remember in Chicago, you had Lori Lightfoot, who was an attorney. She was a mayor of Chicago, and the patronage and the people in Chicago hated her. So you have tons of many black women that are in these powerful positions today that I think is fantastic, but you cannot drop the ball. You're sitting out there isolated with a flock of sheep, and you look like the lone wolf, but you have to represent yourself as a wolf in a positive way. And of course, we have Kamala Harris, who's the vice president, who I think has done absolutely zero. And when she was the state's attorney in California, she sent so many people of color to prison. It's not even funny. Her background is a little bit unscathing and hypocritical. And none of the Democrats, if something happens to Biden, nobody wants her to be the president. So the Democrats are scared as all get out that nothing happens to President Biden. And I think the Democrats are dropping the ball, even with this migrant issue, that they may end up giving this whole election back to the Republicans, and Donald Trump may get back in office. But tell me what you think. Look up this stuff about Tiffany Henyard, the mayor of Dalton, Illinois, the previous Baltimore DA, Marilyn Mosby, who got convicted of perjury, Congresswoman Cori Bush of St. Louis, who hired her husband for security purposes, head of her security with no license, Kim Gardner, who was the past St. Louis City Circuit Attorney, who did a terrible job, and of course this Fani Willis thing that's taking place right now. That this video and my comments do not make me an Uncle Tom. The truth is the truth, whether you're black or white, but I think we have a higher level of standard of care and positivity when you are a person of color and representing for the first time in these landmark situations in politics, that you have to be able to do the right thing at all times. And if you get caught with your hand in the cookie jar, you cannot blame it on race all the time. If you've done wrong, admit you've done wrong and move on. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth in a positive, righteous, and God-fearing way.